Hey everybody, welcome to your college resume building template video. This template was designed to be able to make a recruiter for a job application or an administration officer for any higher education say, wow, I want that person on my team. This person is an asset and I want to make sure that their name is behind our brand name. I want you to keep in mind through this process that your resume is your personal advertisement. It's not about what is impressive to you, but rather what is impressive to those that are reading and seeking a role to be filled in their organization. And they need to make sure, is this person the right fit? And through this resume and the prompts here, you are going to show them that you are just that person. Let's look at what's on the docket today for our agenda. You are going to have a completed resume draft by the end of this exercise. If you follow along, you'll have all of the sections filled out, including the heading, your summary, your skills, your education, your experience, and your extracurriculars. Will complement the college edit resume template. So make sure you have the right version. And how are we going to do this? Looking at the instructions first. Who is this for? Anybody in a higher education program, college, trade school, etc., who is looking to apply for a job role or a even higher graduate program. You are going to need to carve out just 60 minutes. If that isn't music to your ears, maybe you've never built a resume like this before, but if you can complete this in 60 minutes, that is a beautiful thing. Pay attention, focus in for this time, because you can have this daunting, kind of exhausting task off your plate in a very finite and short amount of time. So watch this video and then complete these exercises for yourself. Silence all your distractions, organize your space, and then you can be done with your resume. You can move on with your life. Let's move over to the template itself. First, the header section. We're going to make this simple and clean. Just add your first and last name. Please add your LinkedIn profile. Really quick pro tip. If you have not customized the URL of your LinkedIn profile, take a minute to go do that. This will make such a difference because your LinkedIn profile is your digital resume and 97% of recruiters will look at your LinkedIn profile. Next, add your city and state. Do not add your full address. This is really important. We want to make sure that you don't disqualify yourself by adding your full address and or your current city and state if you don't intend to stay there. Next, your phone number. Make sure it's just the most accessible one, as well as your email address. If you can make your email address as much as possible your first and last name, that is ideal. So if you have a bunch of letters and numbers and random nicknames or random words in your email, that is not preferred to your first and last name by recruiters. If you can try to go and create a Gmail account or some other kind of free account where it's mostly your first and last name, maybe it's even like your middle initial or something, try to get an email address that resembles this format. First up, we have a super quick win for the header. Add your name, the city and state in which you intend to work, live, or participate in this organization in which you're applying, your phone number, your email address, and a link to your LinkedIn page. And then your summary. I am going to encourage you to skip this section for now because you are going to want to tailor this summary every time to the unique application in which you are submitting your resume. This is showcasing who you are, what you've done, what kind of value you will bring to this specific role and or organization by them considering you and choosing you as a candidate. This is your why should you care about me section. So for now, skip it. But it's really good to keep in mind that this is a section that you can use to pitch your candidacy in a strategic way at the top of your resume with keywords and specific accolades that will help you stand out as a candidate. So when you're ready for your action item here, in the summary section, write 2 to 3 sentences pitching who you are and why you should be considered for the position in which you are applying. Next, we want your skill section. Your resume is going to be reviewed by a robot before it is reviewed by a human. You want to make sure as it is going through an ATS system, that system has no problem picking up all the keywords that you need at the top of your resume. So we're going to list your skills up top first so that it has no chance of missing them. Go ahead and list any certifications that you have in a comma separated list, any platforms in which you know or are proficient in. So any relevant software, online platforms, even machinery or equipment that you have experience and feel proficient in operating, make sure to list them here. Next, you're going to list any technical skills you have. So if you know certain coding languages or you know certain methodologies or processes, this is a great place to list any hard skills that you have. These are like the skills that you would be using technically in your profession to perform the work. And then if you look at the soft skills, these are your more personal skills. So think about your unique characteristics in terms of your communication, your leadership, any creativity or critical thinking skills that you have that would be important to showcase in that job role so that you can perform daily tasks and demands of this position. And then strategically, you're going to put any active pursuits for skills or professional development that you have at the bottom of this section. These are skills that you don't maybe necessarily feel proficient in yet, but are actively pursuing. It's important to list them here, even if you're still learning them, because like I said, this resume is going to be reviewed by a robot before it's reviewed by a human. So you want to make sure to still have these keywords in your resume, even if maybe you're not fully proficient in them yet. It's important to list them here. Next up on your action items for the skills section, take some time to list any relevant and distinguished keywords for any notable soft and technical skills. There's some discretion in the next section. If your education is your primary source of your experience, keep it as the next section. If it is not, and you have some work experience that essentially highlights in a more strategic way your abilities and value that you can provide, then go ahead and flip-flop these sections and put your experience above your education. But most likely you're coming from college and school is your most important repository of experience that you have. So we will begin with the education section for now. You're going to list out all the formalities, list your school name, your college or department of that school. So for example, if you're in the College School of Business, some kind of name, School of Business, then you're going to list that school inside the university. Next, you're going to list out when you have attended the school. So your start date and then your intended graduation date. Then you're going to list your degree or your major in which you are pursuing. And if you have a minor, list that too. Your GPA, and then any honors that you have. And finally, your city and state in which the school resides. These 3 bullets are super strategic. List out any relevant coursework that would showcase your competencies for that role and or graduate program in which you are applying. So make sure if there are any requirements listed, if you have experience or have taken a course related to that requirement, list it here. Next, your projects. Please list up to 3. That's perfectly fine. But these projects should be any kind of major capstone projects, group projects, volunteer leadership positions that you held in which you maybe led an initiative. Those are the type of projects that you can list here, but make sure you list who was involved, like it was a group of 4. So I led a group of 4, or my team of 4 did XYZ. What was the result of that team's work or your work in that project? What was the end goal of the work in that project? And then what tools or techniques did you use to get to that end goal? And then last, how did the results that you reaped make a difference, provide some kind of really important insight, or make an impact? So think about, my team did this to accomplish that, and this is the impact that it yielded. It tells a very clear story of what you did in that project and how that project provided value in some kind of way. If you were able to quantify any results that you reaped in that project, that would also be a very useful metric to add here. And then if the project was published, please make sure to link the site with the details. As we build this together, please keep in mind, this resume is not about every single thing that you've done. It's not about every impressive accomplishment that you've made. You will need to pick and choose what accolades that you want to promote and advertise for yourself so that the person on the other end of receiving this resume and reading this resume will be able to say, wow, that person checked all my boxes, answered all my questions that I had about them, that I wanted to make sure that they could provide as the candidate for this position, and that they have what it takes for the role that I need to fulfill within my organization. Now, number 4, for the education section, fill out your formal school details. So this could be the name, how long you attended, some of your formal information and performance information like your GPA, your honors, your degree or major, any relevant and notable coursework, and then 1 to 2 valuable projects to showcase with 2 to 3 sentences explaining who was involved, what was the result, the tools that you used, and how that result made a difference. Next, we're going to look at your experience section. Go ahead and put all the formalities of the job or internship title that you had, the dates in which you worked, the company name, and then the city and state in which the company resided. In this section, I really want you to think about what value did you reap by performing tasks at this specific company. So instead of maybe saying like, I just helped with social media, say, I scheduled 3 times a week and increased engagement 25% over the course of 3 months. Really try to be specific about what did you do and what was the outcome of what you did? What impact did you make? What needle did you move for that company? A lot of people, they discredit themselves for what they actually did to help with a company. Don't discredit yourself. You're not boasting or bragging. If anything, this is where your bragging rights are absolutely acceptable. But try to showcase what you did and how it made a difference through these bullets. And this is something that you're going to take with you through all your resumes in the future. Anytime that you can quantify your results, anytime that you can really dig deeper on how you made a strategic impact or difference, that is what recruiters are going to want to see. Moving on to number 5. For the experience section, fill out the formal details about the organizations that you supported and the positions that you served, as well as about 2 to 3 bullets highlighting major accomplishments or contributions to the company's success, finances, or mission. We're going to move on to extracurriculars. This section shows that you are more than your major. Include any volunteering with philanthropy that you may have done. This really showcases who you are as a person in your community and that you're willing to do things selflessly without a benefit returning to yourself. Next, you're going to list your clubs and organizations. So any scholastic, academic, or athletic clubs or organizations that you were part of, make sure to note them here. And if you accomplished anything with those clubs or sports teams, make sure to include them in this list. Then we're going to list our languages. So if you're conversational in another language or took several courses of a language throughout school, make sure to include them here. And then finally, there are 2 bullets here that a lot of people miss on their resumes. These 2 bullets allow you to stand out in a stack of resumes that you're competing against for a role with other candidates. First, we're going to go over your professional interests. These are any activities that you do in your spare time that align with your career aspirations. And this shows a lot about your character. And if you're not already doing things that are professionally aligned with your intended career path, that's okay, but maybe start thinking about what can you do so that you can input a list of something here. Maybe you're taking an extra certification or an extra course, or maybe you joined a community, or maybe you're actively trying to learn different concepts for your intended career through a YouTube channel or even certain courses or books. All of that counts in terms of showcasing this is my investment in myself outside of my education and any work experience that I've had. And then last, this is your truly human section. This is where you show that you are not just a robot that is constantly work, work, work. People don't want that. They don't want robots in their organization. I mean, maybe they do with AI, but they don't want that in a human. They want somebody who is personable, who has interests personally, who has relationships outside of just the walls and the activities of work and school. This is your chance to put any hobbies that you have that you want to showcase that show a little bit more about what makes you uniquely you and your personality. It's also a great icebreaker point for any recruiters who are going to interview you. That is an automatic connection point that you could have with somebody that would give you a psychological advantage that you just might be the person that fit with the team and the company culture. That's going to give you a know, like, and trust factor that goes beyond just your professional accolades. For the extracurricular section, list any relevant and distinguished keywords for any notable extracurricular activities. This is a really strategic session. Don't miss it. I know it's been a lot, but you're almost done. You got this. Great job. A couple last pieces of advice just before we close out. Number one, make sure that you proofread it, please. Grammar is very, very important, as well as your spelling. Make sure that somebody else checks it too besides you. And that brings me to number two, is ask for advice, ask for feedback. So once you finish draft, give it to your guardian or parent, or maybe an older sibling, or even just somebody that you trust that would be able to read your resume and give you strategic feedback on how you can improve it and or optimize some of these sections. They see things that you don't. You're so close to this document. It's really important to have a second set of eyes on the document so that you make sure that you're actually capturing everything that you want to advertise about yourself. Number three, this is a living document. Unfortunately, it's not a one and done exercise, but by following this template, you're going to have your base so that it's very easy to tailor over time. And the good news is this document is going to be very easily translatable into your working professional document. As a matter of fact, the only difference in your working professional document versus this document is that your education is first in this document, and in your working professional document, your education is under your experience. Why? Because your most important thing to showcase is your experience. So whenever you have more experience, it makes sense to push that up in the document. Number four, make time to update your resume. Sometimes you might just completely forget about your resume. And the reality is you need to at least schedule time once a year to just go update it. It makes a difference. And then that way you're not a couple years down the road trying to remember, what did I do that's really important that I should be showcasing and advertising on my resume? So do yourself a favor and just schedule an update every so often. Number five is you should be really proud of yourself, because it is extremely difficult to put your entire world of who you are on one page, on one document. Quick sidebar, your resume can actually be more than one page, but I would definitely not go past 2 pages. It's okay if it bleeds over into a second page, but ideally you want to try to keep it to 1 page as much as possible. 1.5 is acceptable as well. But this 1 page can open entirely new chapters for your life. So you need to take it seriously. And you doing this exercise already shows me that you care. You care about your future. You care about where you spend your time, your energy, your effort, and your talents. That's important. And you're already ahead of the game because you're here and you're focused and you're making sure that you're getting it done and you're getting it done right. Great work. If you followed along with this exercise, you now have a fully functional resume draft that you will be able to use for all of your future job applications or any other higher education programs you might apply to. We filled out the heading, your summary, your skills, your education, your experience, and your extracurriculars in a format with calculated strategies to submit your application with confidence. So I wish you all the best with this exercise. Congratulations on finishing this video. I will leave you to it. Take pride in telling your story and let this resume help guide you to tell it in a way that strategically optimizes your chance of getting the role or the program slot of your dreams.